Richard Swinburne a moment ago said any scientifically minded person would believe that God is the ultimate cause. What is it about this explanation that you're not happy to entertain, Richard? Is it?
Don't you know?
Is it simplicity?
Isn't it obvious?
Is it simplicity, the main point, though? Or is it just something non-physical?
Richard Swinburne is saying that God is simple because he's a single entity.
Yeah.
How can he be a single entity if he's simultaneously controlling the universe, every particle in the universe? He's forgiving our sins. He's giving us free will. He's deciding whether or not you'll die or not on a certain day. Such a thing is not a single, simple entity. It's a highly complicated, mammoth, great, big, fat entity.
Well, take another example of a very simple entity. A particle of matter here. This particle of matter is influencing all sorts of other particles of matter all over the universe. How can it do that with just being one particle of matter? Well, it does, according to the law of gravity.
Well, yes, so what? I mean,
well, you were saying that in order to have a large number of effects, it had to be a big thing.
In order to do the things that God is supposed to be doing, he cannot be simple. He's an entity of subjective consciousness. He thinks about things. He has free will. He has the power to influence anything in the world that he wants to do. He even does the things that the Christians believe and all the other religions believe. How can you possibly say that such an entity is a single, simple entity?
Well, I'm giving you the example that an entity which is a pretty small and unconscious entity can have a very large number of effects. And if God can have a very large number of effects and yet be virtually even smaller than an electron, in other words, having no spatial extension, why shouldn't you say so? It is the nature of science to postulate entities which are unobservable and have strange properties in order to explain observable entities. We postulated atoms, etc., with their properties in order to explain regular combinations of substances by weight and volume. We postulate fundamental particles to explain this. These fundamental particles turn out to be rather strange in having both wave-like and particle-like properties. But if they are able to produce this effect, then that's reason for believing them to be true. And of course you need an omnipotent being in order to produce all that, but you should go for the simplest one you can have. And the simplest one will have simple properties, and it will not be extended, because if it is extended, it would have parts, and they would have ways of behaving.